A Fox News alert. Fox News is confirming now that the pilot of Continental Airlines Flight 61 from Belgium to Newark has died, apparently in mid-air. That plane still on its way into Newark. It's expected to land sometime within the next 45 minutes or so, perhaps about 30 minutes from now. Let's talk about this very strange circumstance with Les Dorr, a spokesperson for the Federal Aviation Administration. Do you know anything about how word came of what happened to this pilot?
No, I don't, John. The preliminary information we had is pretty much as you've described it, that aboard Continental 61, a Boeing 777, that the captain passed away sometime during the flight, and the first officer took over the controls. They right now are about 25 or 30 minutes out from Newark. It's possible, you know, a lot of times pilots fly in what they call a deadhead status or a non-revenue status. So it's entirely possible that there may have been other pilots on board who are helping with the controls, but we simply don't have that information at this time.
Yeah, there is a local television station here in New York that's reporting that there is a reserve crew on board. I was going to ask, for this kind of a flight, I mean, I've been on longer flights where you automatically get 2 flight crews because they can't exceed the number of flight hours allowed. On a flight like this, Belgium to Newark, would that routinely have a second crew on board?
I simply don't have that information, John.
I see. You know, let's talk a little bit about pilot's health. I'm a private pilot. I have to get a pretty extensive medical checkup every 2 years. Certainly commercial pilots get even more thorough checkups, don't they?
That's correct. The captain of an airliner has to have a physical every 6 months.
But it's also true that you don't get to be the captain of a 777, a Boeing 77, one of the newest and most advanced airliners in the fleet, without putting in some time. This could be, or I mean, the likelihood is that this captain was getting up there in terms of pilot years, right?
We simply don't have any information at this point.
All right. And is this the kind of thing, I mean, would passengers be notified? They don't get on the speaker on board the plane and say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to inform you, but your pilot has passed away, do they?
No, I think they would only say something in the event they were making an emergency landing or diverting to another destination.
So these passengers might not even be aware of what's going on up in the cockpit?
Again, that's possible, but we simply don't have any information.
All right. Les Dorr is a spokesman for the Federal Aviation Administration. A very strange circumstance. Very rare that it happens, and that's why it is making news. But the pilot of Continental Airlines Flight 61 en route from Belgium to Newark this afternoon is going to be making, the pilot passed away in midair. That flight is going to be making an emergency landing at Newark, even though Newark was its intended destination. An emergency landing simply because of the situation. We understand that the pilot is, the co-pilot, the surviving co-pilot, fully capable of bringing in that plane by himself or herself. And there is reporting that there was another flight crew on board anyway, and that second flight crew is going to be managing the landing. Whether or not that was a dedicated flight crew or whether it was someone, as Les Dorr might have indicated, who was simply a non-revenue seat, a pilot moving from one place to the other, we do not know, but we'll certainly keep you updated as to the strange death of a pilot on board a Continental Airlines flight.